Welcome to class number 5 of Maya Dynamics. My name is Paul Campbell, your instructor, and we're about to kick it off again. Greetings to Nina
Hello! Hi, guys.
and everyone else. Glad that you guys are here today.
Yes,
Um,
Jason has been swamped. Just want to let you guys know he's been swamped with the programming classes and a long workshop yesterday and a whole bunch of stuff going on. So he's not going to be in class today. It's just going to be you and I.
Excellent. That sounds very good. Good deal. Well, I hope if anybody celebrates American Thanksgiving, we had that this past week. I hope you had a great Turkey Day for those
I
that did.
celebrated the heck out of it.
Excellent. Very good. We did as well. We did it twice, so that was really fun.
Nice. Twice as nice.
Yes, yes, yes. Very good. All right. Well, today, class, we're going to cover the creating a chain using an nCloth to animate our chains. We're going to be talking about shattering some text using the old school dynamics using rigid bodies to solve that, and we'll be doing a little bit more tearing of cloth. Like we blew up a balloon last week. We'll do some cloth tearing, and we'll do just the beginnings of uh, starting to make kind of like some smoke and some fire, things that looks kind of like an oil fire or really a violent fire. We'll just begin that process this class and finish that next week. All right, so to kick it off, the first thing we'll do is we're going to make something like this. I'll first play it, and then we'll go make it. So this is a different a different method to solve for a chain instead of excuse me, instead of using just outright rigid bodies and things like this. We're going to create a cloth and parent that cloth to this chain that we build, and then we'll use the N dynamics to give us this animation that we have here. So that's just a movie file, some previous work. So let me close that and let's get busy.
All right.
So first off, I'm going to create a torus. This is a kind of a quick way to get to having a chain. Again, it's long and skinny. I'm going to grab some faces. Make this in the shape of a chain a little bit. Switch over to edges. And I'm just going to grab I'm going to grab all these edges, but then deselect so that I'm just selecting the center edge. And I'll just be using the scale tool to then bring that in a little bit, get a little straighter. And squash it down, well, not that way. We'll squash down the whole thing. Switch over to shaded mode. Object mode, right click object mode. Low scale. There we go. Scale it out a little bit. Okay. So we kind of have one chain going on. To duplicate, Control D, and we'll slide it over. And rotate 90 degrees. Okay. And let's see that we get these pretty close together. So now that we've made a pair of them, we can just duplicate the pair and then keep going. Control D to duplicate. Do it again. So we're just duplicating, making a chain. Make sure it's not intersecting. Not that it would cause any problems, but. And then we'll grab the whole thing and duplicate this, and we'll call it done. We'll call that enough. Okay. All right. Now that we have a chain lined up here, I'm going to go ahead and center that. Next up, we're going to, I think you guys can keep up. I don't think I need to pause. We're going to make a plane that basically kind of encompasses this whole chain link that we've created. So create plane. Just a little bit longer. And centering it up a little bit. Okay, now the important part is that once we've made this plane, excuse me, we need to go to the subdivisions of the plane and count our chains, and that's how many subdivisions we want on this cloth. And we basically want our subdivisions to line up on the joints of the chain. So let me count my chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I've got 16. And I don't know if this is the right one. Yes. So let's see if I make it wider, you'll be able to tell a little easier. So now we've got, on every joint of the chain, we have a subdivision. So we'll just fiddle with that till you get things lined up. You might need to scale down the length of your cloth to make it line up correctly, or slide it around to make sure your subdivisions line up with the joints of your chain.
I'm going to just check, you guys over in the GoToMeeting panel, you can raise your hand if you're following along and keeping up okay. Does anybody need any time with this? Raise your hand if you are done.
Yes, good idea, Nia.
2 hands raised here. Over in the GoToMeeting, just raise your hand for me if you are caught up with Paul. Wonder if maybe we should just pause it for a moment and let everybody catch up really quick?
Sure, we can do that.
Okay, I'm going to pause the video and give the last 3 people a moment to catch up. Pausing now.
Okay. All right, so to continue, we will. So we've got our plane lined up with the divisions along the joints. So now we're going to turn that into an nCloth. So switch over to nDynamics, and with it selected, go to nMesh, create nCloth. And we'll just leave that there. And we will add, I'm going to go ahead and add, so I'm going to select the nCloth, and we're going to put a transform constraint on the end so that the top will stay. So to do that, I will right-click on our nCloth and go to Vertex, select these 2 vertices, and go to nConstraint and apply a transform constraint to those guys. So that will keep this end from falling. And next, we need to parent this nCloth to the chain. So let me get out my outliner. So we're going to, I don't ever recall the order. So this is where the script that I posted comes into play. So if you haven't downloaded that script, go ahead and grab that and put that, just know where that is so that we can source it. So what we'll do is grab all of our chains, which for me is torus, and then I will add my nCloth to the selection. And then now we open up our script editor. And if you haven't used this parent to surface before, which I assume none of you have, you would want to go to File, Source Script, and then point to your file. For me, I need to go elsewhere. Mine lives. So here is my parent to surface mail script. So you would resource it, open it up, and just glancing and see if there's any questions coming through. Okay. Now with that selection made in my outliner, all my toruses and my nCloth will execute the command of parent to surface. When I punch that, if we get no errors, 1, 2, 3, you can see it cranking. And we have had success.
Yay!
You can see if it's been successful, you will see some constraint icons, these red hair constraint icons showing up between your chains. So now to test it, just rewind and push play and see what we get. Yay!
Woohoo!
What's this? Right. So now we can see gravity. Let's see. Someone said repeat that. So let me change my frame range to 350, and I will repeat the parent to surface script. We'll let that swing for a second. That'll let people catch up. Okay. It's weird how when I leave my all my windows pop up when I go click on another application. Okay. Stop. Okay. Rewind. Okay, to talk through that process one more time for Mr. Complicated. So once you have everything lined up in your script editor, you go to File, Load Script, and you need to point to the Mel script that I posted at the top of BuzzNet. Download that guy, and then point to this file, parent to surface.mel. And once you've loaded that, which I already did, so that's why I didn't push load that time, then you type in here, parent to surface. Whoa. It's not letting me type. I don't know what's going on. Let's try again. My Maya's acting up, so I'm going to leave it alone. But you would then execute this by pushing play with it highlighted, and then that would parent everything again. Okay, so that was just me repeating that process. Let's have this, to make this look all official, let's grab our cloth and hide its visibility. Control H will hide items, and Shift H will bring that item back again. Whatever item you have selected will unhide it. Let's give this something to collide into. Let's make, just like the example that I made earlier, let's go create a torus, or you can create a cube, whatever you like. And put this under our big chain, and we'll just let it smack it around a little bit. Okay, to make this something that can be collided into, we will, with it selected, go to InMesh, Create Passive Collider. And I did forget to mention some of the nCloth settings that we need to do. So let's make this a passive collider. Let it run. There we go. Let this run, and then we'll go tweak our settings on our chain. Hello. Hi. Maya isn't functioning. Might be asking for a pause. Nina, would you mind pausing?
Absolutely. Pausing.
Thank you. Excellent. Thank you. All right, we had to do a little Maya restart. Thank you, Nina, for pausing for us. And let's just run it.
So Mohammed did ask that question. I guess he says it looks like his chain is being affected by a turbulence field.
Let me step through some tweaks that we can make to our nCloth and see if any of those help you out. And for Mr. Complicated, and then if that doesn't help anything out, then we can switch over to his computer.
Okay, no problem.
He knows how to do that. So if we go to Outliner, let's go find our plane. It's hidden right there. And I'm going to go to our nCloth settings, and let me glance at my notes. goes. Okay, so for the nCloth settings, we need to have a high stretch resistance to begin. So, under collisions, this is hard to do on a low resolution. Okay, dynamic properties, here we go. So we have our nCloth selected. I've moved over to the nCloth shape tab, and we're going to start messing with these attributes. So high stretch resistance. So we'll take it from 20 to 150. And a little, or to 0 bend resistance, so we'll leave that there, set to 0.1. A collision width, which is going to be this thickness. I'm going to set that from, it's set to 0.1, I'm going to set it to 1. Should be around the thickness of our chain. And low compression resistance. Let's go find that. So we have compression resistance that's set to 10. We'll just bump that down to 1. And, well, it shouldn't make too much of a drastic change on my part. Mr. Complicated, did any of those changes that I realized I probably stepped through too quickly make any difference for you? Mr. Complicated says testing. Thank you.
That is wild. It looks like a snake crawling over there.
It does. It looks like it's alive. It's alive!
It's alive!
Let's see. Action. Is affected by turbulence field. Okay, so chain acting as if it's affected by turbulence field. Strange. Well, should we switch over to
Sure.
Mr. Complicated's machine if he's up for it? And give it a look?
Is he okay with me changing? I can't.
He says sure on BuzzNet.
Okay. I am going to make him a presenter right now.
Now, does everyone hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, awesome. Can you see what I'm seeing? Actually, can you see Maya?
I don't see your screen there now. Okay.
All right. Hi, Paul. Hi, Nina. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
So, hello. Now, watch this. Let me actually push this aside and just see how it is actually how the whole thing looks like. So, without touching anything. So there you go. You see how the chain is behaving?
Yes, I think that's mostly normal. Is it settling or not settling at all?
Well, actually, let me give it 4,000 frames, and let's see. You see, it goes as if it is something is blowing into it, and just keeps rotating.
Right.
And yeah, you see, it keeps moving, and it keeps pushing toward that direction. And if you look at the torus section, so there you go. Let me push this guy back, and
then put the torus a little lower. Oh, well, that works.
Yeah, as you can see here, you see it keeps being pushed somehow.
Yeah, it looks like it's stretching. Have you? Can we crank up your stretch resistance on the cloth?
Hang on a sec. Where's the cloth?
We've hidden it, so you'll have to select it in your outliner.
Okay, in a second. Do it like this and just get rid of it. And cloth shape. Okay, well, I'm there.
Yeah, you're already up there. You're already up there at 150 compression resistance. Your compression resistance is fine at 1. That should be okay. Yeah, that stuff looks okay. I'm not sure why. I mean, I'm not sure why it continues to swing around, honestly. There is some I wonder if that would probably keep it from bending at all. I don't know about that one. I would have to look that up and go check that out. But you're absolutely right. It does look like it's blowing around and continuing to move.
Yeah. As if some field is pushing it. So could it be any of the
there is gravity going on, and then we have this transform constraint that's holding it in position, and maybe those together for some reason is making things happen. I wonder if there's some...
But it at least should settle by the middle, like as you can see here.
You have a mass. Let's try this mass. There's a mass setting on your cloth. Change that from 1 to like 5. You're right on top of it, at least where you were.
Oh, at least I were. Okay, hang on. Oh, there you go. 2.
Try 5.
How much? Okay. 5. And on. Well, it behaves a little bit more normally. Although it's like you see, it's like tilted as if there's like some like air pushing it, but it's much better right now.
You don't have any fields or anything in your outliner, right? I didn't see anything.
Window outliner. Okay, plain nucleus nCloth dynamic constraints and all these follicles. Torus widget 1. Nope.
Yep. I really don't know. There might be some dampening could be turned up, but I'll have to. Yeah, you do have there's a damp value. If you want to try.
Stop that and
bumping up the damp value to like 2.
2.
And try again.
Vincent wants to know what your playback speed's set to. Mr. Complicated.
Every frame.
Yes, it should be. Oops, not this guy. The other guy. Yep, every frame.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah, okay, it's right now quite subtle. Although after settling, you see it's like it's not 90 degrees anymore. It's like you see it goes a little bit to the side.
I think it goes to the side because we have it. It's pretty stiff and it's coming over the edge of that torus, so it's turning. The torus is causing it to bend.
I see. All right. So okay.
Well, you guys know too. This is this is definitely not a perfect solution. This is just a very quick and easy way to get a chain. There is actually a more complicated version of this using cloth to make a chain that I can direct you guys to. I can post that when I send out the homework. I can send a link to the more complicated version for those who care to explore. But this is the simpler, easier version of that method.
Okay, to put it back to your screen, Paul?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Complicated.
Thank you, Mr. Complicated.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Back to you, Paul.
Let's see here. You guys can see Maya, I hope?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Great. So that actually sort of knocks out this simple using cloth to drive a chain method. Cool deal. All right. Just checking the BuzzNet really quick. Let's see. Marilyn's saying she's having no audio. I think everyone else is okay with audio. Jono's saying, why'd I have to set my nucleus gravity to negative? Yes, I don't know why you had to set your nucleus gravity to negative, Jono, because that doesn't make sense to me. It should just come in at 9.8, the standard gravity setting. Do we need to follow up with you, Jono, or are you okay? He says, "Oh, I'm an idiot." There's no idiots in this class.
That's not nice to yourself.
Oh, he was upside down.
Oh, I hate it when I do that.
That's awesome. Okay. Jono, if I had a sticker, I'd give you a sticker for today. Thank you. That was great. All right. Okay, well, if there's no more questions on this chain solution, we'll stick with nCloth and just do some cloth tearing with some geometry weight falling down onto it. And then we'll pause, and then we'll move on to shattering text and smoke.
Sounds good.
All right, so let's go to a new scene. And let's drop a plane on our grid and up the resolution of that grid to 40 by 40. I'm going to hold down X to hit my, oh, I missed it. Let's try again. Okay, so once I've made a plane, I'm going to set my subdivisions to 40 and 40. And we'll go ahead and make this an nCloth by going to nMesh, create nCloth. And then we'll select our cloth, and I'm going to switch over to shaded mode. And from here, we're going to put transform constraints in all four corners, so you can select as many vertices as you care to or not. And you can hold down Shift to add to your selection. And once we have our vertices selected in constraint, transform constraint, and let's just let me give myself 400 frames to work with, and we'll push play just to make sure that it's live. And there we go. Very good. I'm going to hide my grid so it's not distracting. And just like we've done in a previous class with our balloons and cloth and things like this, I'm going to set this to be our initial state. So I'll kind of pause just for a moment to let you guys.
Okay. Want me to pause the recording?
I don't think so. I think
okay.
we'll keep it going.
Okay.
So if you've got your cloth made and you've pushed play to kind of drop it down, and we're going to set the initial state so that it begins at this place each time. So we'll go to Solver, Initial State, Set from Current, and if it worked, I should be able to rewind and it still be in that position. So that's great. So now we're just, if I push play, it still settles a little further, but it's starting in a down position, so that's great. Next, we will, this may wreck our initial position, we'll see. Next, we'll grab some vertices that we want, where we want it to tear. So I am going to actually move, first I'm going to move my nucleus icon up out of the way. So I don't grab it. And I'm going to right click vertices and start selecting some vertice patches and holding down Shift to add to the selection. I'm going to go grab my lasso tool, kind of create some interesting vertice selections to be made. And then, so once these verts have been selected, we'll do one more. So we made a big hole. Now to make these able to tear or tearable, we can go to In Constraint, Tearable Surface, and that resets our initial state. Ooh, all my constraints move, that's scary. Whoa, I've never had that happen before. That was weird. Oh, I'm going to undo that last move. And constraint, excuse me, constraint, tearable surface. Hopefully I won't do it again. I did it again. That's weird. Okay, I'm going to try to just select a few verts, and if that happens again, I'll have to be redoing my transform constraints in the corner. I'm not prepared for this class. That did not happen. I've not had that happen before. Okay, try that again. In constraint, tearable surface. Okay, for some reason my transform constraints in the top right corner are still there, but not as many are there as were in the beginning. Not sure what's going on there. And I'm going to rewind and push play. Yeah, some of these constraints are popping around and moving. Not sure why, but we'll let that be. We'll let that go for now. Is any raise your hand or drop a note on BuzzNet if anybody else has had magical transform constraints that are moving all by themselves. So it's obvious that the transform constraints, the vertex constraints over in this red corner on my screen right, have relocated themselves over to here. I've never seen that happen before. But we can still have a little fun with it.
Anyone else having any issues with that?
Yep, everyone else is okay. Mr. Complicated says he's fine. And Jono's fine, so it's only the instructor having problems. That's okay. We'll keep on going. And Vincent's fine. Okay, great. So we're going to make a cube that will be a little ramp for us to drop some spheres onto this guy. So let's do a little bit of that. And I'm going to tilt it down like a ramp so we can roll some spheres on it. And I am someone's asking what version of Maya I have. I'm using 2012 today. Okay, and with my box selected, I'm going to make that a passive collider. And then I'm going to make a sphere, like a polysphere. And put it up on this ramp, and we'll just duplicate it a few times so that we can drop several. Okay. And with these guys selected, I will, to make it simple, we'll apply a preset to these. Let's see, any questions coming through? Nope.
None on my end either.
Of these, I'll go ahead and zoom in on these guys. On each of these spheres, we'll turn them all. We can turn them all into nCloths at once. We can select all four and go in mesh, nCloth. Now, of course, that actually makes it an nCloth. So if we push play and animate, it will they'll just squash down like they're empty bags. But we want to change them to something solid. So a quick and easy solution is to grab, so we were able to change them all to nCloth all at once, but to apply a preset to them, we can only do that to one at a time. So I'm going to select the first one, go to presets. I'm going to make mine a concrete sphere. This one, concrete sphere. You're welcome to pick something else. There's solid rubber, beach ball. It probably wouldn't tear our cloth down low, but maybe it would. I'm going to go with concrete. All right. Okay. Now that my fabric has changed, I'm going to select it. Go ahead and try to set its initial state again. I go into the nSolver initial state set from current. Maybe not. That will help. Oh, you can do replace all selected. Nice. Is that under the? So that's from Jono. Is that under the presets? Instead of right click over. Oh, so I could just be punching that. Thank you. Wonderful. Okay. So let me rewind. And last step we need to do, did we already make this guy? Let's see if we made this. Made this a rigid shape already, so that's good. All right, so if you're ready, you can go ahead and try to drop your concrete spheres and see what happens. Oh, my cloth is gonna tear because of my bad tangents. It'll tear more. I mean, my bad constraints. Go.
Go.
And now we can see where the tearing happened and the pieces all fell down and all of our reaction we're getting. Fun, fun, fun. Excellent, excellent. Okay, just checking in to see how other people are good to go, or if anybody has turned their scene upside down like Jono or anything like that. Any errors we can help out with?
How's everybody doing?
Mr. Complicated's good? Yes, we could absolutely split it up. Who was saying that? NATO was saying shred it a little differently. I'll try that out. Let's see what we get. Let's not do that one. Let's do this selection. Oops. Let's add all of this terribleness to it. John is good. Vincent's good. Excellent. Let's try it again. Wow. Those constraints have moved that I drew. That's so strange. Rip, rip, rip. Excellent. I'm glad everyone's doing good. So we will just we will go ahead and pause, Nina.
Okay.
And take a little break.
All right.
5-minute break.
Pausing now.
Excellent. Welcome to part 2 of Class 5 Maya Dynamics. For the session, we're going to be creating some text and shattering it and using nDynamics to break it apart. And then we'll move on to our smoke task.
Very cool.
So, if everybody is ready in the classroom, let's begin by first just creating some text in Maya. So to make some text, hold down spacebar for me, create text, and go to the option box. And in this option box is where we type in what we want to show up and set our font. And then we have these choices in this option box of curves, trim, which is NURBS, poly, and a bevel. And I have learned after much trial and error of one particular solution that works well, while the others cause us issues when we go to breaking up our text and cause us penetration when we crack it using the shatter tool inside of Maya. So what you want to do is type in your text in the text option box and select trim in whatever font you like. And go ahead and hit create. And go ahead and zoom in on this. So what that does is it's created two things for me. It's created the outlines or the splines, which we don't need. So in my case, I'm just going to delete those guys. And then it's created the NURBS geometry. So our first step is we're going to convert from NURBS to polys. And we're going to we go to modify, convert, NURBS to polygons option box. And I'm going to set this count to 75. Set it to quads and set this option to count. And then just hit tessellate. Okay, so now we've got some polygonal geometry in addition to our NURBS geometry. So I'm just going to hide Control H in case we need to come back to it. So now that we have our polys selected, we're going to use the shatter tool. And the shatter tool is on, first step actually, once we've got these polys selected, let's go ahead and delete our history. Edit, delete by type, history. And that cleans it up so that we won't get any errors when we go to shatter this. So from here, we'll go to our regular dynamics menu. And under effects, we have create shatter. We'll hit that option box with all of our text selected. And right now, a shard count of 4 is reasonable. And then so after, first it's going to create a shard, then it's going to extrude them all. And so this is actually what, and inside of this shatter option box, we have surface shatter, solid shatter, and crack shatter. Solid shatter is if you have, say, a sphere and you want the cracks to go into the geometry of that sphere and create whole pieces. That's what solid shatter is good for. And a surface shatter is good, is great in our case because it's going to crack our surface and then extrude it. Whereas if we had manually extruded this text and then used a solid shatter, the solid shatter will often give us penetration. The shattering would start overlapping, and then when we go to sim it, we get errors because of these geometry inside of geometry. But we'll just use this surface shatter since it extrudes a second at the end. Okay, so once your my shard count's up to 4, extrude shards of 1, just hit create. We'll crank for a moment if we don't have any errors. And there we go. So now we should have some pieces. So here now we can start, you can kind of click around and see that we have some pieces and they don't intersect each other. You can see there's very hard edges. There's nothing kind of inside of each other or reaching inside of the center. The shards go all the way through the depth. I don't like, I think I'm going to let me try to scale this up and see if it sticks together or not as I scale it. It may not work. Nope, we won't do that. Window, outliner. I'm going to hide my polys as well. So now we have our surfaces. So let's go ahead and open all of these up. And let's attempt, since we now have a replace all button. Oh, so it was someone's asking Raven, is that Vincent? Asking, so it was dynamics effects create shatter. That is correct. I can restate that again for you. Yes, to regular old school dynamics, effects, create shatter. And then it was surface shatter, shard count of 4, adjust your extrusion for how tall your letters are. You'll be good to go. Good. Okay. So let's select all these guys. I'm going to just move them up in the air because we're going to drop them here in a second. And let's switch back over to nDynamics. Let's make this an nCloth. Mesh. Create nCloth. And I'm going to go to the nucleus and go ahead and turn on our ground plane. So if we go down, inside of our nucleus, we'll see the ground plane. We'll just turn on use plane, and that turns on our plane of infinity. And now I'm going to reselect our shards, and let's see if we can set the preset to whatever you like. I'm going to go for, let's do plastic shell, replace all selected. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, I just noticed over in this other chat, make sure to ask your questions in the questions panel. Mohammed, I believe Mr. Complicated, said, Paul, any ideas why Maya is not utilizing all the power of the CPU?
Nope. Is that inside of BuzzNet or?
That was inside GoToMeeting in the little chat area. I saw a question.
The question must not be. Is the newest at the top or at the bottom?
If you go, he didn't put it in the questions panel. He put it in the chat. So
Oh,
the little chat.
Because I did see a question about cores during the break happening on BuzzNet, and I don't know why. I know at render time, when it really counts, it will use all of your cores. When we're doing sims and things, I guess it depends on if is it going to tap into OpenGL at all? No. I don't know what determines when it uses all of your cores or not. I honestly don't know the answer to that. Okay. Okay, someone had suggestions for whoever was trying to ask the question. If you have to be a presenter, you need to change your message to ask questions to presenter rather than to send all. Okay. Thanks you guys for helping each other out in BuzzNet. I appreciate it. Okay, so
yes, and just remember, ask questions in the questions panel so I can make sure that I can see them, because I can't see BuzzNet.
Yes. Excellent. All right. So I've applied a shell, the plastic shell preset to all this geometry. Let's rewind and push play and see what kind of animation we get. It went squash like an accordion.
Squished.
Squish did. Okay. I'm going to rewind. So, rewind. Let's try another one. Going for heavy denim. How squish does that go? Whoa, that really squishes right down. Nice. Let's go for solid rubber. Let's see what we get, or see if it keeps acting the same. Oh, it should be different. Bouncing a lot. Last one. Hopefully these will be solid. I was wanting to go for a solid break. Cool. I'm going to do a quick compare and see if you guys have any opinions on accomplishing this inside of the nDynamics or the old school Dynamics, because it works well there. Let me see if I can firm this up first. Strength, thickness, bounce. So I'm going to go to stretch resistance. I'm going to crank that up to 200. Compression resistance, 200. Bend resistance, 100. Let's see if we can get more of a solid hit now. Still squishing down. All right. Well, I'd like to continue with this one just a little bit longer. Go to my outliner and shrink all these guys down. And hide. Whoa. Hide that guy. Hide my nCloth as well. H. I'll go back to my polys. Shift H to have them appear. Someone says, actually, it works for me when I choose concrete. Found it. And put the stretch and compression resistance to 200. Oh, so Vincent asked, where is the enable the floor checkbox again? That's in the inside of the nucleus setting. That nucleus setting is what we'll, is one place where you can turn on the ground plane. Oh, he found it. Great. Okay, I'm going to just do the same, just do the exact same thing. You can follow along or just observe, doing the same thing in the old school Dynamics. So I'm going to pull up our nerves to polys. I'm going to go ahead and surface shatter it again. Going to old school Dynamics, effects, shatter. I'm going to turn the shatter down to 3, extrude 0.5, create. going to choose all of my new shards that have been created. And instead of doing in dynamics like we've been doing, I'm going to do it with rigid and soft bodies. So I'm going to say create active rigid bodies. Oh, but I did forget to go to edit, delete by type history. Let's see if it will let me do it this time. Create active rigid body. Okay, something that's working. Fields, gravity. Let me see just if this is even working. Yay. Okay, now I'm going to create, go ahead and make a ground plane for it. Hello. I'm having all kinds of problems today. Create plane. And we'll make this a passive rigid body. And go ahead and punch play. Ooh, Mr. Complicated crashed. So sorry.
Uh-oh.
I'll add a little bit of...
Technology's being naughty today.
It is. It's being dirty. A little bit of turbulence. We'll animate that coming on and off. So I'm just going to add a little bit of turbulence to hopefully separate the pieces apart. And step forward until it hits the ground. And then turn it off. Oh, I guess it did the whole thing. Down to 0. And see what we get. Okay. We're just showing that, sometimes using in dynamics is good and quick and successful, and sometimes you can get faster results using the old school traditional dynamics. Let me see, and let me show you. Let me see if I can show you guys. Well,
you just blew up 3D Buzz. Bad instructor.
I killed it. Nice. Okay. Let's go ahead and push pause. Nina, if that's all right?
Yeah. And we're back from break, and we're going to show Mr. Complicated screen. One moment. I'm making him presenter. Yes. Let me take... All right. Show us what you have, Mr. Complicated.
Right. Can you see it?
I can hear you, yes.
Can you hear me first?
Yes.
Awesome.
And I see your screen.
I could I believe if sleeping is a necessity, I believe I would have spent like the rest of the night just playing with these effects. There you go.
Oh, fun.
No, the problem is they keep flying away. Like, I haven't included any fields. They're just simply keeping going everywhere.
Interesting. What's what kind of preset or what's your stuff made of?
I believe. Hang on. I believe I've chosen. Yep. I believe it either airbag or beach ball. I believe I've chosen beach ball.
Yeah. So those two are light and almost light and fluffy, if you will, and they will continue to spin and float much like a beach ball does.
Maybe concrete.
Yeah.
If you pick something else, it'll move a little different.
Concrete. Where is the concrete? There you go. Replaceable selected, and they're just simply they're right there. So hang on. Oh, there's one guy still hanging in there, which is kind of fun.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I see that.
Huh.
Yeah, he was excluded probably, feeling like a social outcast.
He's not in the in crowd of shards.
I agree with
Yeah.
I agree with Vincent, Mr. Complicated. Your computer is too fast for Maya.
That's what it is.
Oh yeah, that's
so fast.
Let me see, putty.
Hopefully that'll go squat at the bottom.
That should be interesting.
Just
Splat.
Hmm.
No, actually, the lava one is much more. It's like amazing one. It's like it expands and goes, so it
Yeah, it
looks
keeps
like all.
expanding on the floor.
Yeah. Which is kind of cool. So just it's like it's melting, which is kind of cool. Actually, you could simulate like a cheese, if you are heating up a cheese in an
Uh
oven and
huh.
you would like to simulate it, it could be also replaced with it. Like with tweaking a little bit of parameters, you can actually do a short animation movie where a guy is actually putting a plate with the cheese on the bread and then just heating up in the oven and just the cheese start to spread over it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I believe this is the perfect reset for it.
Very cool.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Awesome. Silk.
How did
That would be interesting.
how did your cloth tearing go?
Perfect.
Good.
Would you like to show
It
your?
w- it w- it went. Um, the question is, hang on,
Did you save
is
your
it
scene?
still there? I believe recent files hearing. Do not save, please. Destruction.
Warning, warning. Always.
There we go. All right. All of them are concrete,
Hmm.
but again, it's only 50% of my CPU is utilized, which is kind of strange. I mean, I believe if it was utilized even more or faster, in this case, I believe it would have been run in completely in real time. I'm
Right.
almost 100% sure about it.
Yep,
So
yep.
there you go again. Because it's concrete, it somehow sticks to the plane, so it goes a little bit slow.
Right. But it sure plummets right through those terrible portions.
Yes.
Yeah,
Nice.
nice.
Success.
Very cool. Very cool.
Epic win. Epic win.
Epic win. Yes.
Woo. Nice, nice.
All
All right. Well,
right.
Yep.
thank you so much.
Thanks so
No, no
much.
problems.
All
No
right.
problems. Enjoying it. Enjoying it.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Let's see. Would anybody else like to show off their
Show off
creations?
their goods.
Vincent?
Vincent's thinking about it.
Come on, Vincent.
Says he can show off. He says he can show off how to make a chain.
Okay. You want to see?
Let's do it.
All right. Let's go see Vincent's chain. Make presenter. All right.
Oh, he says he was joking.
Too late now. You're on the spot, sir.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes.
Hi. Yeah. Yeah, I was actually just joking, but now that you asked for it, yeah. So yeah, it's like holding Shift and D. I don't.
Mhm.
Is it
Duplicate.
with transform? Yeah. So holding Shift and D, and then going there. And just a second, I hold this on the side. No, is it? Yes. So it's 0, right? Is it? Yeah.
That's right.
So now if you could continue clicking Shift this, so you go. Whee!
Yay!
Perfect.
So yeah, that's maybe a faster way.
And you have to
But you
make.
guys know that.
That was very good. I saw you mention that in the BuzzNet. Thank you for showing that. That
Yeah,
was good.
you can also, if you kind of rotate it maybe a little bit and start doing Shift in. No, actually one more time. So it's
And your whole chain will be curved. Yeah.
no. So it's not here. So yeah, it's gonna go. It's gonna go around, but it's not going around. So never mind. So yeah, and
Cool.
Very cool.
that's it. So what else do you want to see?
Well,
Some tricks?
how did your did you do your crashing number or words, letters?
Oh yeah, but I didn't save it, so
That's cool.
You didn't save it.
nobody told me to say it, so I'm sorry. I can do it again. So should I do it
Show
again?
and tell.
Yeah, this is. I can write a smiley. So
Nice.
there you go.
Nice. All right.
Yeah, I was showing to Jono. Actually, this is from the homework. I made too much of the faces, and when I applied the and hair, it just exploded everywhere. It was like,
Nice.
wow, it's
I
full
recognize
of
that.
hair and stuff.
Cool.
My question was dynamics and dynamics. Obviously, there's some stuff in dynamics that and dynamics haven't covered it. So do we use both, or do we combine the dynamics and then dynamics?
I haven't combined them much myself. I want to say that when I've heard Duncan give a talk that they can work together, but I have not tested that recently.
Oh, so do you use more and dynamics or?
Oh, I use both. I guess depending on the situation, I'll use whatever seems most appropriate. If you
So where do you use dynamics, older dynamics more, and where do you use and dynamics?
So for real simple rigid body and soft body like footprints in the ground, I've used the old dynamics most often when it's kind of like simple old school stuff, and then using the older particle systems is the old dynamics, and so I've used those a lot for getting sprite renders and certain kinds of control that I'm familiar with because that's where I learned to do those particles with.
Wow.
Awesome.
So, but then all the new stuff, all the in dynamics like cloth and now hair in 2013 and all that stuff. That's all just amazing and standing on its own, doing really well.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah. Can we have some?
Wanted to see if anybody else wanted to show their screen to show what they've.
Sure. No, it's mine. Just kidding.
Anyone else want to show what they've done so far? If not, I'm going to go ahead and bring it back to Paul. Anybody saying anything?
Jono says he's down to show his cloth thing.
Let's do that. All right, here we go. Making him a presenter. All right, here we go, sir.
Nice.
All right.
You see it?
I see it.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Is that one a water balloon?
That's so cool. Look at it. Yay. I love it.
It's soft putty.
Okay.
That one was the most fun looking.
It was, definitely. It was just oozing its way down the cube or the platform there. And
it made me nervous, like I needed to run away from it, like it was trying to come get me.
Yeah.
Very, very nice, John. That looks really great.
Play it one more time. I want to see the creepy. That's awesome. Very, very cool.
Cool. Nicely done. Nicely done.
Very well done. Did you want to show anything else, Jonah?
No, that was it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Paul, I'm going to go ahead and put it back over to you.
Sounds great.
And here we go. Back to you, Paul. That was fun seeing what everybody made.
That was great. So, okay. I assume everyone can see my screen well?
I can see it.
So, great. So we are going to now dabble. I think I need to shrink this down if I remember from past showings. We're going to just stick our toe in. So we're going to do some fluid simulations, some smoke and some fire and things like this. And one of the things about doing that kind of work is it's very much, if you can imagine, sitting in front of in a pilot's cockpit and how there's just controls and dials and gauges everywhere, all over the place. That is very much how working inside of fluid simulations feels, because there's so many different attributes that that you have to digest and figure out what's going on, that it takes a lot of time and fiddling with to learn what happens, what each attribute controls specifically. So here is, and let me know if this playback is reasonable or not, or if I need to shrink the picture even smaller. So this is a fluid sim of like some oily smoke. How's that playback for folks? Smooth for some. That's great. Okay, good. Everyone can see it. Okay, great. So we are going to just barely begin. We're going to create a 3D container, create some geometry to emit from, begin its emission, tweak a few settings, and then we'll end it, and I'll have a homework assignment for you guys, and then we'll pick this up next week some more, and hopefully you guys can play with it between now and then. So the goal of this piece is to give it kind of an oily smoke look, and there's several things happening. First, we just have an emitter that's releasing the smoke. We have a heat emitter that's giving us this color. We have an animated texture along the bottom here that's giving us the kind of speckledy look across the fire at the bottom that's moving, a noisy texture. Let's see. Yes, Vincent is requesting, can we have a homework with some fluids? Absolutely, that is definitely what's coming your way. Okay, well, yeah, this is the quick time of it, and this is my scene of it. I'll just play that for you guys. And something that Autodesk added in that's been around for a couple of years that's super wonderful for someone like me who's been using this stuff for a little while. That this box used to be a fixed size, this container box where our simulation happens, and now the fact that it can shrink down to the size that it needs and expand it on the fly is very nice and helps our simulations go faster. So kudos to Autodesk for making that happen not too long ago. Okay, so that's just showing you guys. So let's see. And Mr. Complicated asks, since when was it like that? And I believe it was 2011 that they started having the changing on the fly container. Okay, so let me start with a new scene. And we will get started. Let me pick actually this one, because I don't know why my grid isn't showing up by default, so we'll just go to this empty scene that I've got. Okay, so first things first, we need to create a fluid container. So we stay in our regular old school dynamics, go to Fluid Effects, 3D Container, and Option Box. And so I've got mine set up a resolution of 50 on X, Y, and Z, and an X, Y, and Z size of 20. I'm going to just hit Apply and Close. So 50 across the board for resolution and 20 for X, Y, and Z. And I'll bring that up to, it will move itself, whoops, it will move itself later, but I'll bring that up to at the bottom on the grid, just slightly below the grid. Okay. Now we're going to make a piece of geometry to emit from. So I like using the side of a polysphere. So we're going to create a polysphere. And then I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees this way so that the points will be on the ground. I don't know if that makes sense what I just said. Let's go to my rotation, 90. And we go to right click, we go to faces. I'm just going to select all these faces that are under the ground. Let me try again. Closer. See how that does. Okay, I have most of my faces that are on the bottom half selected. I'm going to delete them and zoom in and clean it up a little bit. shift select these last two. And we're good. So now we're going to use the scale option and squish this down to the ground. Move this inside of here, and then we'll make it smaller. It's a little big. Yep. Okay. Cool. So now basically all we've done is make a fluid container and make an emitter, or a piece of geometry that we will be emitting from. And I'm going to put that on its own. I'm going to put our fluid sim on its own display layer, so I don't have to worry about touching it. Okay, so now my fluid sim is there, but I can't select it. Okay, now with our geometry that we're going to see, what's the container's resolution? We did 50. 50 by 50 was the resolution, I believe. Double check that. Yep, 50 on X, Y, and Z. That's what we set it to. All right, let me go back to channel. There we go. Okay, let's make this our fluid emitter. So with this geometry selected, someone asked if I could get closer to the mic. I will speak up, and if you don't mind me, let me just turn up my microphone settings really quick. Is that better? Can you guys hear me, or is that too loud?
It's a little tiny touch too loud. Just maybe knock it down just a hair.
Okay, how's that?
That's great.
Okay, good. We'll stick with that then. Okay, turned up the microphone volume, and I will try to speak louder as well. Thank you for that feedback. I'll always want that. If you can't hear me, that is not good. Okay, with our geometry selected, let's go to Fluid Effects, Add and Edit Contents, and Emit from Object. I'm going to hit Option Box, give it a look. We'll just leave it on the defaults for right now. We'll be adjusting these later. And we'll just hit Apply and Close. Oh, right. You're supposed to select both our fluid container and our geometry we want to emit from. So we need to select both of them and apply. Now we can tell it to emit from this object. So with those selected, apply and close. Now I will again set it so I can't select my sim. So it's out of the way for now. And let's just give it a glance. Let's just see what's happening. So I'm pushing play, and up is coming some white smoke. Not a lot's going on. It's just rising up. Okay. Let me rewind. Let's go to that emitter. Just to increase the rate a little bit. Outliner window. So now that we have turned that into an emitter, below our geometry icon we have an emitter. And here's where we go. And density voxels per second. We can just up that just temporarily for fun to 25. Rewind, push play. Now it's coming out a little faster. Someone was asking what were the options for emitting from the object. Basically, when we're emitting, we can emit many things. We can emit density, we can emit heat, we can emit fuel, and it's just saying how many voxels or points per second do you want to emit. And its default was set to 10, and that was a surface emission, and so that's fine for now for getting started. And we can, after the fact, we can go tweak these and even turn them on and off inside of the attribute editors. of each of them. Okay, so let's add just a little bit of wind to get things blowing a little to the left. So with those guys selected, let me get this active again. Let's go to Fields and Air. No, why isn't that working? Fields, Air. There we go. So with your 3D container selected, go to Fields and Air. And yes, someone observantly pointed out that its little doodad is a fan. That might be the cutest little fan you'll ever see inside of mine, maybe. So let's go to the attribute editor of the air field of this fan. And pull this down. So our magnitude is our strength, the strength of the fan. We'll bump that up to 10. We'll wheel down. Let's look at our direction. So right now, by default, it's not blowing in X. It is blowing in Y at 1, and it is not blowing in Z. So we needed to blow. If I'm looking at my screen, my X-axis in positive goes to the left. So I need to change my direction if I want it to blow screen left for me. Change my direction, then X to 1, my Y, and Z to 0. So we have a strength of 10, blowing, hopefully, screen left. So as I pull this in here, and it doesn't have to be inside of the 3D container. It can be outside of it, and it will still affect things. So now we'll rewind and push play and see what we get. Right. If you happen to have your emitter on the ground selected, instead of the 3D container selected, and you assign the airfield to it, it will blow around your your emitter, which is funny. And let's talk about, if we do something like that, how we can resolve it. So we have inside of Maya, we have something called the Dynamics Relationship Editor. So we go to Window, Relationship Editors, Dynamic Relationships. And in here, if we pick, like say, airfield, it will show us, when I select my airfield, you can see how the fluid sim turns purple. Now, if I select my emitter, and if you've done it wrong, when you select your emitter, for me, my polysphere, this airfield will be blue right here if the airfield is affecting it. So if you want it to not affect it, just right now my airfield would be affecting and blowing around that emitter. If I don't want that to happen, just click and deselect it, and now it will no longer blow that around. That will fix that problem. Okay, let's go ahead and watch. Let's see if this air will blow my air around.
Looks like a ghost rising almost.
It is. There it goes. Now it's starting to go a little screen left. Ooh. Old school ghost sound.
Yes.
Nice. Okay. So we have very, very basics of a 3D fluid blowing around town. Okay. So let me go out of that. Rewind. Let's start messing with our settings. Okay, let's see where we want to start. Let me grab my notes. There's that guy. Okay, let's start with our emitter. So I've got my emitter selected. Well, maybe select it out of outliner would be fastest for me. So with my fluid emitter selected, go ahead and select your fluid emitter, and we're going to start messing with these attributes here. So first, we're going to go to the top, and our density method is set to add. That's great. We're going to set that density starting off at 25, or we've bumped it up from 10 to 25. We're going to go ahead and take that up to 100. Going to wheel down, going to, We're going to be bouncing around inside of here. We're going to go to the fluid drop off and set that to 0.1. And both heat and fuel method, yeah, that's right. We leave those at add. Just going to stay at let's go ahead and, well, we'll change that elsewhere. Okay, let's go ahead and move. We'll leave that as it is with the emitter. Let's go ahead and select our container. And let's start adjusting our parameters here. So to start off, our base resolution is 50. Let's go ahead and bump that up to 75. And okay, and we're gonna go down and come right back up to here. So this boundary will let us adjust the settings for the automatic adjustable container. So we have to go down to the bottom where we see auto resize. And in here we have an auto resize checkbox. And once we've turned that on, we can go back up to the top, and here's our boundaries. So we're going to set our boundary X to none, set our boundary Y to negative Y side, and set our boundary Z to both sides. Okay, now this should cause, when I push play, and when you push play, you should see that this container shrinks down to the small size of the fluid, and then will come back up again as it expands. If we've done it right, and it looks like we've done it right. So yeah, double check that out. Okay. Rewind again. We'll do a few more tweaks, and then we'll be just about done for today. So let's go down to contents method. I'm going to leave density set to dynamic grid. We're going to turn, where's my notes? Looking for something else. I'm not finding it. One moment. Here we go. Okay, so we're, excuse my winding around and going all over the place. It's definitely difficult with a smaller window. So under contents method, we've got density set to dynamic grid, velocity set to dynamic grid. Let's go ahead and set temperature and fuel to dynamic grid as well. And then next from here, we're going to go down to the dynamic simulation window. This is what I was looking for to remind me of things. Under high detail solve, we want to set that to all grids. We're going to leave steps and solvers there. We're going to, under dynamic simulation, set the dampening to 0.03. I'm going to go down to contents details. Open that up. Okay, so here we're going to mess with density, velocity, turbulence, and temperature, and then we'll pause after that. And fuel. We'll give fuel a little bit of love too. So I'm going to go ahead and expand all of these at once. So fuel, temperature, turbulence, velocity, and density. Okay. So our density, we're going to leave that at 0.5. Our buoyancy, we're going to take from 1 to 6. Our dissipation, we're going to set to 0.5. And our, I think there was turbulence here. We'll come back to that. Okay. We're going to set our swirl to 25. We're going to go, here's our turbulence, so we want to put in a strength of 0.1. Temperature, we're going to set a buoyancy of 3. We'll leave that. Turbulence here, we want to crank up turbulence to 6 as well. And dissipation to 0.5. And we go to, I'm trying to slow down a little bit. We'll go to the fuel attributes, and under heat released, we'll set that to 0.5. Okay. Let's go to color and just change the color of our smoke. So if you wheel down to shading and open that up, and under there is color, we'll set that color to a very dark gray. Like so. And let's stop right there, and let's just give it a look and see how things are moving now. 1, 2, 3. So we've added swirl, all kinds of stuff. Whoa. I've got crazy fire colors now.
Looks like when I cook.
Nice. That's great. Awesome. So let's see what kind of a render I have going on right now. Switch over to Centauri. This is without even dropping any lights in the scene. Nice. Okay. And those colors are coming from here. If you drop down to incandescence, we can pull that red out of there by create another. So right now, if you scooch down to incandescence beneath color, there it goes from black to red to yellow. And to have more black and just a little bit of red and yellow at the beginning, we can click in the black space, which will create another color swatch that we can slide around. I can grab it and push it down, and notice how live it changes the color on my screen. So now we can get feedback pretty quick from there, which is handy. So now if I render the same frame, we can do a sort of a before and after, just adjusting that one color. And now it's getting darker. And our alpha channel's coming out good. Okay. Well, that is where we are going to pause and call this having wet your whistle for some more fluid fun. I'll be passing on any questions before I start to yap about passing on.
Before
other than what's the difference between the fuel of the emitter and the fuel of the container? They both are, it's kind of like the same fuel since it's all under the nucleus system, and it's just how are they each affecting the fuel. So they're the same, just the emitter will do one thing to fuel, and the container will then affect the fuel after the fact, after it's been emitted. Really is the best I can explain that difference. And then, Mr. Complicated, you asked, solver was set to what exactly? And I am not sure what you are talking about when you say solver. I would be happy to answer if you have more to elaborate about the solver. Solver. Is that the container you're talking about? Under dynamic simulation.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
The solver we didn't adjust. We left it at the, I don't even know how to say that. Navier-Stokes. I'm sure that's a French word. Someone's French last name. And the high detail solve, though, we changed and set to all grids, if that answers your question. Navi, thank you. Vincent. All right.
And are we going to go over what's for homework?
Yes,
Okay.
I am going to send a document to Nina to pass out to you guys that's going to, one, just to go explore 3D fluids on your own. Spend some time grabbing these dials and adjusting them and see what it does. Just the more time you spend in this stuff, the more you'll start to be familiar with, wait, I want it to do this, and you'll know which section. Oh, I should go to the dynamic sim section to adjust this kind of attribute. So just spend some time playing around on your own. I also found, I don't know if I have it up still. Let's see if I did find. So I just stumbled across this recently, looking at in your directory where Maya is installed. There are several. Let's see if I can find it. So inside of where you have Maya installed, whether you're on Windows or a Mac, and this is 2012, so I'm not sure what the difference is in 2013, there's a preset folder, and then effects asset, and then some examples. And these are some pretty crazy fun examples. I had literally never seen these before, and I usually would have thought I would have seen these inside of the visor where there's a lot of examples, but there's a bunch of fireworks, bombs, rockets, lasers, smoke, snow, sparks, tears, a dust trail, firebomb. This is so fun. So if you can get into this stuff, and they've tweaked these examples up so that they're really easy to use. Like you could just import them into a scene, and blammo, you have fireworks in the background. So
cool.
That's something that you can play around with and go see all of those settings and what they've done inside of those as well. So, all right.
Does anybody have any questions before we end?
We've got a thank you, Paul, from Vincent. Thank you, sir. You are welcome. And I don't have any questions.
Jono asked, do I cook coffee? That's why, the Keurig was invented. And I can push a button and it doesn't turn into this. Ever see that meme that has the little smoke detector or smoke alarm up on the ceiling, and it says, "Oh, you are cooking? Allow me to sing the song of my people."
I have not seen that one. I love that. That is hilarious.
Yeah, I think somebody out there made that just for me. No, not really. I found it online, but yeah.
That is funny. I'm seeing a T-shirt of that. That sounds really funny. And yes, request for links to where there are nDynamics tutorials. Absolutely. So I'll send you guys links to nDynamics tutorials, and you'll have a document to go along with it. And other than that, do step through some of those tutorials, play around with some of this stuff on your own, and just have some fun. You have one more class. Have a good time about it.
All right. Sounds good. Well, with that, we'll go ahead and call it for today, and hope everybody has a great evening and has fun playing with fluids.
Yes. Thank you so much, Nina.
Thank you, Paul. See you guys later. Bye.
Bye.